G'day. Let's talk about orders of operations in arithmetic. We've got various arithmetic operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, exponents, and all sorts of good things. And there are certain conventions about the order ones in which to conduct them if you see an expression that uses more than one operation. For example, here's an expression that uses an addition and a multiplication. And students learned very early on that actually multiplications are always going to beat additions. Do multiplications first and any additions second. So students are taught to read this as, okay, what's the more powerful operation here? Multiplication, do that first. 3 times 4 is 12. Now turn to the addition. 2 plus 12 is 14. So students learn multiplication beats addition. This will evaluate to 14. It won't evaluate to additions first. 5 times 4, 20. It evaluates to 14 instead. But as school progresses, you learn about these powerful things called parentheses, P for parentheses, that actually you can use them to override previous conventions. If I really do want to think of this as 5 plus 4, I can make times 4. I can make that happen by inserting parentheses. 2 plus 3, then times 4. Because we learned that parentheses are always done first. So I'll do parentheses first. 2 plus 3 is 5. And then I can do the next thing next. Times 4 is 20. And as we keep playing this game, we can learn more about the conventions we have for order of operations. And eventually you might see on your classroom wall when you walk in one day, this great big mnemonic on the board, PEMDAS. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, which is a way to remember the order of operations. If you see parentheses, do them first, like I did here. If you see any exponents, do them next. If you see any multiplications, do those. See divisions, do those. Then if you see any additions, do those. And if you see any subtractions, do those. Do things in this order. Parentheses, exponents, multiplications, divisions, additions, subtraction. Okay, so that is the sort of standard way to think about order of operations in many classrooms. By the way, I grew up in Australia. We didn't call these parentheses. We called these brackets. So I think we had BEMDAS when I was growing up. Some countries might actually not call them exponents. They might actually call them indices instead. Indices, the exponents are called indices. They might have BIMDAS or something like that. I've also seen BODMAS, where the indices are called orders. So they might use an O instead. But I think everywhere in the world has somewhere like this in their textbooks and on their classroom walls for young students to help them remember the order of operations. But there is a delightful possible misconception that could be generated from this. Excuse me, just need my paper here to erase some stuff. For example, if I take PEMDAS literally, like I literally see PEMDAS in that order, and I follow it literally in that order, I might get some unexpected results. For example, look at this, 12 divided by 2 times 3. If I'm thinking PEMDAS is the law, then I see a division, I see a multiplication, but look, multiplication happens before division. If I really see this in the order, I do multiplications first, then I do divisions, and I say, okay, if PEMDAS is really true to its word, I'll do the multiplication first, 6, then I'll do the division next, 12 divided by 6 is 2. That might make you feel uncomfortable. There it is. If I'm following in that order, that's what I get. Look at this one. It's got addition and subtractions, addition and subtractions. I see I do additions, and then I do subtractions, in which case I should interpret this as do the addition first, comes before S. 2 plus 3 is 5. Then do the subtraction, 5 minus 5 is 0. Let's do an exponent one here. Actually, this has got exponents and addition. I see an addition. But look, if I'm literally following PEMDAS, I see the E happens before the A. I'm meant to do the exponent first. So I say to myself, how do I do the exponent first and not do the addition? Well, I guess it is, okay, well, it might be written funny. If I do the exponent first, I see an exponent, that's 2 to the 3, that's 8. And then I'll do the addition plus 5. So this is actually 13. All right. PEMDAS is more subtle than it first lets on. You might think these answers are strange, but actually they are what logically follow from literally following PEMDAS. So what else is going on with PEMDAS? Something more. Well, people like to say, okay, James, be careful. I've got multiplication and division. People say, you know what? They're equally powerful. Don't think of them as separate operations. Lump them together. Think of them as I've got parentheses, I've got exponents, and think of M and division as one group. Equally powerful operations. D, M, MD, whatever you want, but they're just one thing, not two separate things in that order. And ditto for subtractions and additions. Think of this as one thing. So here's how you should probably write PEMDAS. Parentheses, then exponents, then all the multiplications and divisions in one lump, all the additions and subtractions together as their own equally powerful things. Great. So if I do that, and I say, okay, I'll redo these 3 examples. Then I'm a little bit confused what I'm meant to actually do, and I might need another convention because, all right, Now I've got multiplication divisions, I'm right there. But which am I meant to do? What am I actually meant to do first? And this is where school books come up with a rule. If you've got a string of equally powerful operations in an expression, then the convention is conduct them from left to right, the direction we read. Okay, so that's a school book rule. That's a school book rule. If you've got equally powerful operations, just evaluate them left to right, in which case I have to go 12 divided by 2 is 6 times 3, and now I'll get 18, which I think was different from what I had before. Again, addition and subtraction, they're equally powerful, in which case the school book convention is compute it from left to right. 5 take away 2 is 3, plus 3 is 6. And the exponents, a little bit different here. There's something going on. I mean, you probably balked at the idea of me going 2 to the 3 plus 5, because look at this. This is all like up here in superscripts. The convention is, if you've got a complicated exponent all written as superscripts, you're meant to imagine there's some hidden parentheses around there. The rule is exponents often come with hidden parentheses, in which case, if there's parentheses, they get done first, P, in which case I have to think it's 2 to the 3 plus 5 is 8. And now I can get, what was it, 256, I think it is. All right, so actually, PEMDAS is a bit more subtle than it first lets on. There could be hidden parentheses, in which case you're meant to do those first. And equally powerful operations in a string. Okay, the schoolbook rule is conduct them left to right. Now, I'm talking about the schoolbook rule because mathematicians might be do something different. So we've got to talk about this. It is actually more subtle than you first realize. So let's talk about this. Good stuff.